last but not least, the Georgia Bulldogs. Of course, I don't know about you, Mark, but for me, I'm a Georgia fan, and I mean I know you're a Georgia fan too, but I'm almost tired of talking about Georgia. Even being a fan of them, it's fun. It's fun being on top, but at the end of the day, now especially doing this show, I've come to realize like I spend so little time even considering UGA and diving in on their team, but just because I know them so well, and really. They've kind of taken the fun out of it for me in a way. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them. They've got Kirby Smart's done a great job with this team. He does a great job of developing talent better than any other team in the country, better than any other coaching staff in the country. And it's evident, he has the number 3 roster from a talent perspective, but they're also going out and developing these 3 stars and unrated players as well, and they're making big plays out in national championship games and things like that. So I'll just go right into my prediction. I've got UGA going 12-0. I could see them getting beat by LSU, but still making the playoffs and still being a contender for the national championship game. But I have them beating LSU as well, and making it obviously to the playoffs should they win the SEC. So with that said, I'm going to leave you with my top 4, my college football playoff prediction, and then I'll let you wrap up the show. And
in that same vein, I've got Georgia ranked number 1. Surprise, surprise. I feel like the top 2 are not a big surprise. Georgia has questions at quarterback, and Kirby Smart is looking for those answers every day at practice. They were out there scrimmaging. They had 2 days of scrimmages in a row the other day out there in 110-degree heat. They said it was 118 degrees on the field, no wind, and they're out there scrimmaging. Kirby's out there riding people's butts hard as ever, yelling at coaches and yelling at players and saying the wide receivers ain't catching the ball. And, this is a master motivator at work. And I feel like regardless of what he's saying, pass catching wise, this is the best Georgia team we've seen in a while. I'd say Georgia and LSU are in the same vein as far as the wide receiver cores in the SEC. Those are definitely the top 2 wide receiver cores in my mind. So there's no all-star running back for Georgia. I don't see anybody, being an All-American or rushing for 1,400 yards or anything. You've got, like 4 guys that I think are very serviceable. Maybe you have one bust out this year. But I think Georgia with a new offensive coordinator, I can see Georgia airing it out a lot more this year. And the defense, as long as Kirby Smart is there with his squad, I'm not worried. I'm just not going to worry about the defense. I'm not going to consider that to be a question. Obviously, there's questions on every defense. Who's going to be the number 1 defensive lineman? I think is the biggest question for Georgia's defense. I don't think you have a Jalen Carter or a Jordan Davis to either clog the middle up or take on double teams every play or anything like that. So I think that's going to be a bit of a question. But whereas they don't have a number 1 guy, it seems like they have a lot of depth. So if you can't have a first rounder, at least you've got other NFL talent there and guys that are going to be able to step in and rotate. Georgia's schedule is a cakewalk this year. They had Oklahoma on the schedule. It got taken off. The SEC asked them to take it off. I won't get into that. I think that's ridiculous. They're not even an SEC team yet, so how could the SEC tell Georgia to take them off? I digress on that. Excuse me. But all in all, Georgia seems like the best mix of returning experience and talent. And I think that if you can hit those 2 things perfect, I think that's where you can mold a championship team. It's going to depend on the quarterback. You got Carson Beck and Brock Vandegrift and Gunnar Stockton. It sounds like Carson Beck has been more of the same this spring and fall of what we've already known. It seems like the other two are progressing more, but I still expect to see Carson Beck start. I'm hoping, as a Georgia fan, I'm hoping I don't hear about playing two quarterbacks. I don't really like that. But you've got some quarterbacks with a different skill set, so never say never. Georgia just had 2 national championships with a walk-on quarterback, so I guess you just never know. But that is our top 25s right there, folks, and it only took us 3 hours and 7 minutes to get it done.